The war that broke out in 1914 was different from the previous wars in many ways. Although it began in Europe, but soon it spread to continents of Asia and Africa as well. Its deadly consequences were felt all over the world. Therefore, it is referred to as the First World War. The Great War of 1914 was not due to any single cause, but due accumulation of explosive materials for many years. Militant nationalism, also known as competitive patriotism, means that when the people of a country believe that what their country is doing is right, while if someone objects, they are considered anti-national. Militant nationalism is a kind of obsession in a few people for their country. An important cause of the war was militant nationalism or competitive patriotism. Germany had Kaiser William II as her new emperor. He went about proclaiming that Germany was going to be the leader of the world. He wanted to establish a vast German empire and gain important position in the international sphere. France and Germany were old rivals. After defeating France in the Franco-Prussian War, Germany had seized the province of Alsace and Lorraine, which were rich in minerals and industrial products. The French dreamed of revenge and of taking back their lost provinces. The Italians also looked discontented. Then there was the unsatisfied national spurt of the Balkan states, of Poland and of Austria-Hungary. The political leader and rulers succeeded in fanning hatred and passion in the cover of nationalism. It was this intense nationalism that turned Europe into an assembly of vast armed camps. Each country went on preparing for war, arming itself to the teeth. Germany had acquired colonies in Africa and a few islands in the Pacific. In order to protect her colonies, Germany began to build a powerful navy. The Germans dug the Kiel Canal deeper so that battleships can find shelter in its water. England requested Germany not to make such preparations, but she did not pay any heed, which increased the hostilities between these nations. Britain and France were concerned about Germany's growing military strength. There was an arms race, and a peculiar feature of such a race is that if one country increases its armaments, other countries are compelled to do same. The Krupps in Germany, Vickers Armstrong in England and Schneiders in France, owned high-profit armament industries. The defense spending had increased irrationally between 1908 and 1914. In 1879, Germany and Austria-Hungary signed a treaty to help each other in case of enemy attack. 3 years later, Italy joined the pact, which came to be known as the Triple Alliance. Opposed to the Triple Alliance emerged the Triple Entente, comprising Britain, France, Russia in 1907, to contain German expansionism. The French expression Entente means understanding or alliance. Thus, Europe was divided into two major camps. On one side were England, France, and Russia, and on the other Germany, Austria-Hungary, Italy, and Turkey. The rivalry and enmity between these two camps was a major step in towards World War I. There was a mad scramble among European nations for new territories in Africa and Asia in the 19th century. Great Britain established many colonies in Africa, followed by France, Spain, Portugal, and Belgium. Britain and France had occupied most of the regions of Africa. When Germany entered the race for establishing colonies, Britain and France made a secret agreement in 1904, according to which Britain would take over political control of Egypt and France would take over Morocco. The French claim over Morocco was opposed by Germany. The German emperor proclaimed that he would uphold the independence of Morocco and her sultan. He said all the nations must have equal opportunities to trade with that country. Germany tried to force her opinion on France by sending the gunboat Panther. The war between these two nations seemed imminent, but it was averted, partly owing to the American intervention. The major powers in Europe got involved in the Balkan countries. In 1908, Austria annexed the Ottoman provinces of Bosnia and Herzegovina. These provinces were coveted by Serbia, which had become an important power in the Balkans. Serbia was supported by Russia in establishing a united Slav states, the Balkans. In 1912, four Balkan countries, Serbia, Bulgaria, Montenegro and Greece, started a war against the Turks. Turkey lost most of her possessions in Europe. In the Second Balkan War in 1913, Serbia and Greece, supported by Russia, defeated Bulgaria, an ally of Austria. So Austria decided to put an end to the Serbian power. Kaiser confirmed Germany's willingness to support any actions taken against Serbia. There was no effective machinery to enforce the law among nations. Two attempts were made to arrive at an agreement on the question of limitation of armaments. The First Hague Conference met in 1899 at the invitation of Tsar Nicholas II of Russia. To this conference some 26 nations sent their delegates. An important proposal before the conference was that the nations should decide not to increase their armies or their war budgets for 5 years. Nothing of this sort could be decided there because of Germany's opposition to said proposal. A second conference met at Hague in 1907. This also failed to secure the desired results. The people of Bosnia, which was annexed by Austria in 1908, were Serbians by ancestry. They wanted a union with other Slavic states, and they fought against the Austro-Hungarian government. On 28 June 1914, the Archduke Francis Ferdinand, the Crown Prince of Austria, and his wife were assassinated at Sarajevo, the capital city of Bosnia. The assassin, Gavrilo Princip, was a 19-year-old Bosnian, the first student revolutionary to change the course of history. Though Princip was an Austrian subject, the assassination had been planned in Serbia by a secret society called Black Hand. They wanted to achieve the union of all South Slavs under Serbia. Serbia was blamed for Archduke's assassination. Austria presumed that Princip and his fellow conspirators had received guns and bombs in the Serbian capital, with the help of Serbian officials. Austria sent a stiff ultimatum to Serbia for apprehending the criminals and handing them over to the Austrian government. She sought ban on all anti-Austrian publications, schools and meetings. They were required to take steps to suppress all the revolutionary movements against the territorial integrity of the Austrian government. The Serbian government refused to accept some demands of the ultimatum on the ground that they involved violation of its sovereignty, i.e., its authority to govern itself. Austria declared war on Serbia on 28 July 1914. Russia mobilized her troops to defend Serbia and warned Austria of the consequences. Germany declared war on Russia on August 1st and on France on 3rd August. Great Britain declared war on Germany on 4th August, when German army invaded Belgium, whose neutrality had been guaranteed by England. All the five powers, Austria, Germany, Russia, France and Britain, who joined in the hostilities on claims of fulfilling their obligations, made it a world war. Turkey and Bulgaria joined the side of Germany. Italy left the Triple Alliance and joined the war against Germany and Austria-Hungary in 1915. Japan declared war on Germany with the aim of capturing German colonies in the Far East. The Great War was fought on all three continents using deadly weapons on the land and above it, on the sea and under it, causing heavy tolls of lives and large-scale destruction. For about 3 years the scales of war were tilted in Germany's favor. The German army could reach up to the Marne River, only 15 miles from Paris. But the Anglo-French armies succeeded in checking the onrush of the German armies. For the first time British used tanks, which became a major weapon in the war. Germany launched submarine warfare against Britain. They called their undersea boats U-boats. Britain's newest and fastest Atlantic liner Lusitania had sailed from New York for Liverpool, carrying many American and European passengers. A few miles off the Irish coast, she was struck by a torpedo from a submerged U-boat. It sank in a matter of minutes, taking all the passengers to the bottom of the sea. The people of the United States were extremely shocked. America looked offended, and on 6 April 1917 she declared war on Germany. This placed at the disposal of the Allies America's huge resources, both in men and money. There was now no doubt about which side would finally win the war. The Eastern Front lay from the Baltic to the Black Sea. The Russians had now to fight on two fronts, because they were fighting against Germany as well as Austria-Hungary. Germany and Austria captured the Russian territories like Courland, Livonia and Estonia, and to the end of the war, these places remained under German domination. In 1916, Germany captured Bucharest, the capital of Romania, and occupied 2/3 of that country. By capturing Romania, Germany received kerosene, petrol and grain in abundance. Turkey and Germany were friends but not allies. In 1914, Germany secured the support of Turkey against her enemies in the war. The British army defeated the Turkish army in Beersheba and captured Syria and Palestine. Later the Turkish army was forced to evacuate Mesopotamia, Iraq. Turkey surrendered on 31 October 1918. Two important events transformed the war in 1917. One was the entry of the United States in the war, and the other was the revolution in Russia. In 1917 the revolution broke out in Russia. Russian government passed into the hands of Bolsheviks or communists. Lenin signed a peace treaty with Germany to mark the ceasing of Russia's hostility towards them. The Treaty of Brest-Litovsk ended the war between Russia and Germany. Germany imposed many terms which were very harsh on Russia. Germany occupied many prosperous and industrial cities of Russia. Russia was obliged to pay Germany an indemnity of 6 billion marks. The entry of USA into the war brightened the hope of victory to the Allies. Britain, France and the United States launched a massive military offensive in July 1918. Subsequently, the Germans were pushed back, and the German Emperor Kaiser William lost hopes of winning the war. He abdicated the throne and fled to the Netherlands. Germany became a republic, and the new government signed the armistice on 11 November 1918 to mark their surrender to the Allies. Thus, the Great War came to an end. The terms of peace were contained in 5 main treaties. Here, we would refer only to the Treaty of Versailles, which was signed on 28 June 1919 in the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles. The treaty refers to the agreement made with Germany, who was blamed for imposing a war on the Allies. The persons who played an active role in framing the terms of the treaty included the British Prime Minister, Lloyd George, President Woodrow Wilson of the United States, M. Clemenceau, the French Premier and V. Orlando of Italy. The following were the terms of the treaty. War indemnity. The treaty declared Germany guilty of aggression. She had to pay a very heavy sum of $33 billion as war indemnity to the Allies. Germany was to evacuate the places she had captured during the war. The Rhine Valley. The area of the Rhine Valley was to be demilitarized. Germany could not maintain or construct any fortification either on the left bank of the Rhine or on the right bank. Moreover, all existing fortifications were required to be destroyed. To guarantee the execution of the treaty, the German territory west of Rhine was to be occupied by the Allied troops for 15 years. Alsace-Lorraine and the Saar base in the treaty brought some vital territorial rearrangements. France, for instance, got back Alsace-Lorraine, which she had lost in the Franco-Prussian War. To compensate France for the deliberate destruction of her coal mines by the Germans in 1918, she was given full ownership of the rich coal mines in the Saar Basin, a district adjoining Lorraine, for a period of 15 years. Several countries gained independence. The complete independence of Belgium, Poland and Czechoslovakia was recognized by Germany. The Czechs got Silesia, Bohemia and Moravia, and thus was created the state of Czechoslovakia. Serbia obtained Slavonic states of Slovenia, Bosnia, Croatia and Herzegovina, and assumed the name of Yugoslavia, with its capital in Belgrade. Finally, the Covenant of the League of Nations was added to the Treaty of Versailles. The chief aim of the League of Nations was to promote international cooperation and to achieve international peace and security. In order to achieve this objective, the members of the League of Nations were required not to resort to war, to maintain open, just and honorable relations among them, to establish international law as the actual rule of conduct among governments, and to respect all treaty obligations in their dealings with one another. Besides prevention of war, the other objectives of the League were maintenance of status quo, that is, the situation that existed as a result of the peace conference, the protection of national minorities, proper administration of the territories assigned to a nation under the mandate of the League of Nations, dealing with the problems of health, the social and economic problems, and the system of communication and importation. The League did much of social and humanitarian work. Between 1925 and 1930 it was able to settle a few international disputes. However, it failed when it had to deal with disputes in which any of the major powers was involved. It failed in its main object of maintaining peace in the world. The loss of life was terrible indeed. It was believed that in 4 years during which the war raged, some 80 lakh people were wounded. Many were rendered invalid for the whole of their life. The air raids, epidemics, and famine killed so many children. Well, thank you for watching the video. Hope you liked it. See you all in the next video. Till then, keep documenting.